And so it was like, we want to be remembered.
Yes, sir.
Leave your legacy. You want to be remembered. When you come back to Hoffman in 40 years, 30 years, you want to say, I did that. That's my name on the wall. That's why we go hard.
Welcome to episode 8 of your favorite teacher's favorite teacher podcast.
I'm Mr. McWilliams, aka Big Country. I am a history teacher at Hambrick Middle School. Also, I coach football and I coach track.
Awesome. And I've worked with this young man some years back, and I tell you, he's a wonderful, wonderful young man. And I am excited to have him on the podcast today and talk about all of the stuff that he's going to talk about. And so we're going to jump right into the beginning of the podcast, a part that I like to call the journey, where our guest gets to tell their journey from day one to today as an educator. So, Mr. McWilliams, I'll turn the floor over to you. Tell us your story of the journey that you took in becoming an educator, sir.
The journey, so I tell this first day, It was rough. The class setup, that was rough, but first day was rough. You know, this your own classroom. They have to respect you. They have to listen to you. You have to teach a curriculum that you are new to. You have to also come up with some creative activity. The host of the kids to get their attention. It was hard, and also I was coaching, but I'm not gonna use. It was hard because looking from it was hard, but it was easy because it was things that I was allowed to make mistakes that now, as a 8-year in the game, that you can't make.
Right.
But those mistakes allowed me to grow. They kept on growing. I have grew like I remember a lesson that I did. I was getting observed by Miss Noble Taylor.
Yeah.
And it was when we had the kids had to act out. They had to do a script.
Okay.
So the script, I forget what unit we was on, but we was like Civil War, going towards the latter Civil War. The kids didn't want to do it, but I had some kids I had to motivate, but it was good. All my classes did. I remember first period did it, second period, third, but 8th period is the one I remember. This is the one I was 8th period. Right. I remember Noble Taylor coming in, and I'm like, man, these kids, please. Y'all know what to do. I have modeled expectations out. It was great. So that's me being creative. A Juneteenth, I did that invitation. That's my first year, and I have kept that tradition. Like every unit that I have taught since 2017, 2018, we do a Juneteenth invitation.
Okay.
That's something that's just something that's gonna keep on keeping on.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so my third year, second year I've started to come into my own. Lesson plans starting to become a little bit better. Lesson plans started to become a little bit better. They started to come natural to me. My first year I took it as a game planning. Then second year, third year, I took it as I need to know the teach, be able to relate to the teach. What is the student? What do they want the student? And that was my whole thing. Learning so we got to do the match the teach with the objectives. And to me, the guided question and the teach fall in the same alignment.
Yes, sir.
If he can answer the guided question, then he know what the teach is. They know what the teach. And I learned how to do that. Third year, started come up with a motto: leave your legacy.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if that was second year, third year, leave your legacy, but it was something that with my boys, 18, 19, that's when we won. No, was it 19, 20? No, it was 18, 19. Because that's when we won the first district championship.
Yeah.
And so it was like, we want to be remembered.
Yes, sir.
Leave your legacy. You want to be remembered. When you come back to Hoffman in 40 years, 30 years, you want to say, I did that. That's my name on the wall. That's why we go hard. So that's where the leave your legacy came from, 18, 19. I'm like, you got to come back to the neighborhood and people got to remember who you were.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my quarterback, my running back. I remember all them kids, great kids. I was just looking at pictures of them. Man, I hope they're doing well. If they ever come across this podcast, I hope you all are doing well. You know, so leaving your legacy. Well, they all graduated. You know, graduated last year.
Yeah,
Make me
they
feel
should have
so.
graduated by now. Yeah.
Making me feel but they leaving their legacy. If I see him, my quarterback. When I started coaching at Cashmere.
Yes, sir.
So he was at a magnet school. Smart young man. Hope you're doing well. And he was like, "What up, coach?" And I went straight to it. Are you leaving your legacy? And boom. Then the fourth year that I was at Hoffman, that's also the COVID.
Yes, sir.
We going through COVID now. And with COVID, that was a good year, but a sad year. It also taught me how to be versatile.
Yes, sir.
Because at first I was using nothing but paper, and then I have started using the computer. With Schoology, being able to teach, it made it easier to teach the kinesthetic learners, the visual learners, the audio learners, auditory. I can hit 3 because you can watch the video. If you don't understand it, you can play it out for the kids. They can play it out. They can actually visualize themselves, or they can actually mimic the move, even with the folding. I'm showing you the video. You know, I'm physically not there. You can move with me at the same time at your pace. In class, you can't really move at my pace because I'm trying to get everybody, you guys, to move in 10 minutes. Yeah. But online, Schoology, you can watch that video 20 times. And the kinesthetic learning, okay, Mr. McWilliams wants to fold this way. Auditory learning, okay, I just got to hear it. All right, and in the visual, I got you a visual, I got you audio, and you can move with me while I'm doing it. That made it a little better. But not having the kids in the classroom, that made it a little bit hard.
Right.
Because you couldn't see what they was actually learning, or is they actually mastering it until the second half of that year they started bringing us back into the classroom.
Yes.
So it got a little better. It got a little better. And that's when I actually crossed into my fraternity in 2021.
Okay.
And so that was one of the greatest moments. I implemented what we do in the frat in my classrooms, like with the stepping, helping them learn all the stuff that they need to learn. Like my ESL kids, we learn the 3 G's, and that God, gold, glory. So now they coming to Mr. McWilliams. I want God, gold, glory, and for that made me feel happy. And I say it here. When the kids, I tell them I don't care if I do care, but I care if I can give you something that you can remember because it's history.
Right.
If that's the only thing you can remember in my class, I taught you something. I did my part.
You did.
And that's gonna lead you into wherever you're moving forward to for 8th grade. That's gonna be moving you to life. You see me 5 years from now, Mr. McWilliams. You remember the 3 G's? So I got one, Mr. Stubblefield, that we do.
Okay.
5, 5, 5 on me, 10 bill of right. What up, G? I know my rights. So I know my 5, 5, 5, 5 on me, 10 bill of rights. What up, G? So that's on my TikTok. That's helping them remember the first 5 freedoms and then the 10 amendments.
Right.
10 bill of rights. So they always coming up to me in the hallway. 5, 5, 5 on me, 10 bill of rights. What up, G?
And as I listen to you say that, it seems like a lot of your students are, as you said, kinesthetic learners as well as auditory learners. And so, let me ask you this: do you feel like when you create these rhymes for the kids and these steps for the kids, that helps them to retain the information more?
Yes, sir. I feel like it helps them retain it. And for them to, I'm starting to see if I introduce something one time to a kid and don't put nothing that can have them remember it. I ask them that 10, or okay, let me do a check for understanding at the end of class.
Right.
Might not remember, but if I put 5, 5, 5, they get them a list. Just okay, what Mr. McWilliams talking about? Oh, the 10 Bill of Rights, 5 freedoms, raps. You know, they can easily go here, and the rest is the other 5. You got the first 5, and then you got the last 5. Well, really, you got 10, and I know the 5 freedoms part of 1, but this gonna help you. That it's 5 freedoms you want to know when I ask you what's the First Amendment. Then we're gonna go to the Second Amendment. Boom, here. Third, what's the one we did for the third one? Right there, no quarter to shoulders. Fourth, fifth, sixth. You know, adding them rhymes, adding the movements with it.
The movements with it, yeah. So
it helps them remember faster, and they can be able to retain it. And I have learned in this school year, that really has helped.
Okay.
And now, my 5th year, 6th year, that's when the rhymes are really starting to come in place.
Oh, wow.
I did it a little bit at Hoffman. Started doing it more at Forest Brook. And my time at Forest Brook, I can say it taught me humility.
Okay.
It taught me to be. I learned how to be patient.
Okay.
With my students. Be patient because it's a lot of factors going on at Forest Brook. But my time there, my first year was like, man, be humble. This from not the teacher side, but the man side.
Okay.
Because I'm these students that are coming at you, and you think they're coming at you violent, I mean disrespectful, but that's their way of them showing I just want direction. Right. They not gonna tell you, Mr. McWilliams, I want direction. It's things that they're doing that they want direction.
And people don't. A lot of people don't understand that it's a matter of they are still young. They're kids. So to have the right words to say, it's difficult for them. So what do they know how to do is act out. So those actions that they have, the things that they are doing, aren't to be disrespectful to you, Mr. McWilliams, but it's just to say, this is what I've learned. This is how I know how to get the attention that I want. And it's fantastic that you were able to recognize that within the kids and find a way to address it. So when those students did act out in your class, like what did you find yourself doing?
First, I found myself, hey, be cool. Let's assess the situation. See what the kid problem is. Why are you acting this way? Did you come in on a bad note? Did you not like what I said?
Right.
Or did someone in classroom say something to you? And just use some kind of SEL to understand where is anger coming from. And then the writing up point. If you just not feeling my class, the write-ups, I have to do a lot of write-ups. And that's one of the first things I told the kids, that I do not like writing you up. Right. That's not my job to get you out of here. My job is to keep you in here, because outside of here, those write-ups are not what you think. Those write-ups are you going to jail.
Right.
You getting tickets here, you getting tickets there. And the more you miss work in real life, the more money you're not gonna make.
Exactly.
I'm trying.
And we did talk about this like before we began the podcast, of like, as that teacher who don't want to write up the students. Like, we understand that. You and I and all of the teachers that are like, I don't want to turn over the authority to the principal to handle the student when we can have that one-on-one conversation with those students and try to get them to where they need to be. But the other end of it, like we talked about before the podcast, is what about the other students? If I'm spending all of this time handling the behavior for one student, then that's less time that I have to teach the other students that are in the class. And that's not fair to them. So sometimes we have to do that. We have to write up that student because we want to make sure that everybody gets an equal opportunity to learn, you know? And I get what you're saying. It is sad. It is bad, but it's a matter of teaching the kids consequences for their actions. They can't think that they're going to go throughout life being able to break the rules and not have any consequences for it. I mean, you talked about it just now. You said that if you keep breaking the rules, then it's going to start hitting you in your pockets. You know, you and I, we can't just decide to go into work and cut a fool and think we still gonna get paid, right? And that's what those are the type of things that you're teaching your students right now, that a lot of kids nowadays have to learn.
Yep. So
Yeah.
that's one of my biggest things I was trying to teach, and the kids and my time at Forest Brook, I love it.
Hmm.
I grew. I met people. I feel like I met some people that became just not coworkers, but they became great friends. That they added value to my career.
Hmm.
Forest Brook, the whole community of Forest Brook, I just want to say I am appreciative of you. I'm a bulldog for life. I am a bulldog for life. Um, thank thank you to my principal that brought me in. Appreciative of her. Appreciative of everybody at Forest Brook.
Yeah.
And I'm not. And then I coached at Cashmere. I appreciate my time at Cashmere. I learned about some great kids. I coached some great kids. Um, I feel like some of them kids gonna be millionaires one day.
Oh yeah.
Some of them gonna come back and they gonna be. Some of them say, "Oh, Mr. McWilliams, I ain't gonna be coach. I ain't gonna be no teacher." The favor. Are you tripping because you cap? That's cap. That's not happening. It's going. I said the same thing. I thought I was gonna be in that field. Your calling might be teaching. Your calling might be coming into your community and bringing somebody up and building that bridge for that person. All right, so that's my fighting is like to help young men,
Hmm.
young women
Hmm.
become bridge builders
Yeah.
because you building that bridge for your little sister, your little cousin, your little homeboy, your little homegirl. They gonna follow your steps. So um, I learned that a lot. And then now coming to where I'm at now,
Yes, sir.
this year was personal.
You say personal?
Personal because I actually went to middle school here.
Yes, sir.
And see, I didn't I was a teacher aide at Mac, so I worked at Mac.
Yeah.
I can say I taught, I had my own classroom
Uh-huh.
in the Hawks Nest. Uh the route. I know everything about the route. The Harris County Library,
Hmm.
Aldine Food Store. We can
Hmm.
go with the old Kroger's. Now that's a Family Dollar. I mean, Dollar Tree and a shoe store. You got Food City where I worked at, right across the street.
Hmm.
Um, so the neighborhood, I tell the kids, it's personal. You can't come in here and act up in my class. Or I'm not. Let me stop. Let's get the negative out. Let me stop the negative. The positive. We gonna come here. We gonna learn, and then when we come in here, we learning about Reconstruction. We learn the 13, 14, 15. That's the what we on now. Then we did Open the Frontier last week before spring break.
Hmm.
So I use on Lauder Road. If you look to the right, you see what? Nothing but what? I don't know, Mr. McWilliams. You see land. We
Hmm.
call that the opening of the frontier. You see a river. You see some broad wires. Why did they use that in open frontier? I use that surrounding area to help include in my classroom because I
Awesome.
know it. So like even at Forest Brook, my dad went to Forest Brook. That was personal.
Hmm.
That I can say, Pops, you went to Forest Brook. I got paid and that was my job to come teach at Forest Brook.
Mm.
And so leaving my legacy, because I went away from leaving your legacy. The kids now at Hambrick know. The kids at Forest Brook, they know of it, but they don't know the core. Now the kids at Harvard, they're gonna say when they see me, you leaving your legacy. So that I'm coming back to live your legacy because I'm leaving my legacy. I'm wearing this right. I'm not wearing this as a 13-year-old kid. I'm wearing this as a 32-year-old young man who went here.
Yes, sir.
And
as an educator, being able to be a part of the and you put it perfectly, the legacy that we create. You're at a school that you attended, and there was a teacher that was there that cared enough to be there to try to educate you. And now here it is, some years later, you're filling those same shoes. When we worked at Hoffman, I told my students on a regular basis, the apartments right around the corner from this school is the same apartments my mama lived in. So like I'm and the fact that I'm able to show you what you can become, although I know a lot of kids don't think that teaching is this glamorous thing, but we get the opportunity to help mold and shape the future of the kids that basically are us. You're reaching back in time, and you're grabbing a young McWilliams, and you're helping him to build a legacy that, and you said this earlier, that may turn him into a millionaire later on, that may make him become the next teacher later on. Because one of the things that I know is true, that no other profession in this world can happen without an educator. No matter what level you're on in college, if you decide to do a trait, there has to be an educator there to educate you on how to do it. So we are the foundation of our society, man. And you are playing that major role in making sure that our society continues to function the way that it does, man. And that journey that you just explained, man, that's awesome. It does have its ups, it does have its downs. And what we're going to do now is we're going to transition into the next portion. We're going to talk about the next part of the podcast that I like to call the yin and the yang. So at this point, man, what I want you to do is talk to the audience about your worst day as an educator, and then go ahead and end it off with like your best day as an educator. So tell them your story about your worst and best day in education.
my worst day in education, when a young man called me a BAN.
Mm,
That was my worst day.
okay.
Um, that was my first year.
Uh-huh.
I was, I was upset. Didn't
Okay.
know how to handle that kind of situation. But the reaction of people that mentored me, helped me out, helped me realize that situation. You gotta just let that one go. That
Mm.
was my worst day.
Well, can you walk the audience through like what led up to it, and
So
you don't have to say the word. I hope my audience can uh, imagine what BAN is.
it,
We have an African American brother here on the on
it,
the panel, so just use your imagination for what that stands for. But like, walk the audience through what led up to it. Like, what was your reaction?
so my well later, I think the student came in like I was already in my lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So the student came in like he felt upset, he felt violent, and and so when he called me a BAN, my reaction was, "Hold on, who you talking to?"
Mm-hmm.
And it went from like we talk you talk to like a man off the street.
Right. Right.
So I went to let's have a couple. The reaction was a reaction that most men who put in that
Right.
situation,
Right. Right.
and so I, it took me for a whirl spin. And first year teachers, this is what you was not. No, I didn't. it's just you never know what you're gonna get.
Exactly.
You never know what you're gonna get. This was what I did not know I was gonna get, and my reaction now, 8 years in, looking like it was very, I would say poor, because it was a reaction of that he got the best of me that day.
Okay.
He got the best of me that day, and I hadn't. And I'm glad to be still standing.
Right.
The reaction was, "Oh yeah," but let me come here.
Right.
My mentors told, "Hey, come here. Hey, that's a child. Let him have his moment."
Right.
And
So
you gotta see it from a because that's a very real moment.
exactly. And,
That
and
was
in the moment, it's a lot.
in the moment. It was one of the moments like, "Come here. Who you talking to, boy?"
Mm-hmm.
And see, if I would have called a teacher a BAN in my day,
Oh yeah.
this quick,
Right.
and you either gonna accept you're gonna have to accept the consequences. But the
Exactly.
consequence is gonna be a teachable moment for you.
Right. Well, I mean,
So
you touched on this a little bit earlier. You said SEL. For those in the audience who don't know what that means, it's social emotional learning. And in that opportunity, like that's an opportunity as an educator to give that social and emotional learning to the young person. Because, like you say, back in the days, if I was to mouth off to a teacher, well, that's doing more than mouthing off to a teacher. But if I was to mouth off to a teacher in my day, like not only because it was legal for them to give us spankings in class, but not only did I get a spanking from the teacher, the principal, my mother, and then my father would also spank me and ground me, because that's not how the real world is. You can't come into the real world and think that you can say stuff like that and get away with it. So
yep,
now in education, what we are forced to do as educators is it's not legal for us to spank the child or reprimand the child. So what we have to do is we have to pull the child to the side and say, hey man, what you're doing is unacceptable. Uh, we have to teach them through the words, that social and emotional learning, and say, hey, this is how your words make me feel as an educator. This is how your words will be perceived when you grow up and become an adult and say it out in the real world. Because if you think about it, what you said earlier about like your reaction was that way because that's how we were taught when we were growing up. You can't sit there and disrespect me as a man like that and get away with it. That's crazy, you know. And so the reaction that you had was one that was born out of how we were brought up. But now times have changed. And so now when we look back at, is that socially acceptable for somebody to do that? It's not. And so now we have to find ways to educate the kids to not only say things like that, but if they are put in that predicament, we have to teach them how to react to it. Does that sound about right, man?
yes, sir. And the kid came back after his, cool head. He cooled himself down.
Mm-hmm.
He apologized,
Mm-hmm.
and he accepted his consequence that came with that. And
Awesome.
so that was my worst day, because that was my first time ever,
In that situation.
in being put in on that, like put in that situation. That's my story to all the first year teachers, that when hey, that was my, I'm still here by the grace of God.
Mm-hmm.
God have put people around me to help me grow as an educator,
Yes, sir.
because you don't know what you're gonna get,
Yeah.
and you got to be able to handle. In this day, you got to be able to handle. I look at stuff with kids are throwing chairs.
Oh yeah.
That could be that teacher first day. How do I deal with a kid throwing a chair at me?
Oh yeah.
Do do I throw one back, or do I do I take it, and then I get hurt, I injure myself, but the that first time. So people who watching it, that was my worst day. But that might not be your worst day. Your worst day
Right.
might be the scenario I just said. Or your worst day might be that the kids are not doing their work.
Yeah.
So you take it with a grain of sugar, or or salt. But um, it's gonna be all right. That was my worst day,
Well,
and
and before you jump into your best day, I want to jump in one more time and say, you know, sadly, nowadays what teachers are going through, like they do see more of those days. And um, we can't candy coat it for those people who are coming into this profession and say, you're never going to see a day like that. You know, maybe at some schools you may not, but it's better that they know going into this situation that this stuff does happen in education, and it's a matter of uh, uh, how you're going to react to it. So being prepared going into education, saying, I know that this happens. How would I react to it, and practice it and address it? Then you're better prepared for it. Because in those PPRs, one of the things people always talk about when when you're taking that test is think about perfect world scenario, because they know that how they tell you to react to stuff like that, it doesn't give you the results that you think it's
It's,
gonna get.
it's no perfect world scenario. It's
No,
just scenario.
not at all. But at the same time, I don't want people thinking that it's all hellfire and brimstone in education. There are some amazing days that we as teachers have, and I want to open up the door for you to talk to the audience about your best day as an educator as well.
Oh, my best day as an educator is when my ESL students
Mm-hmm.
is going through the God, Gold, and Glory Spanish exploration.
Mm-hmm.
That they were energetic and they wanted to talk about the three G's
Mm.
and God, gold, glory. Those things that they could spit back at me. So I know they understood that was one reason why the Spanish came
Mm-hmm.
was to spread religion,
Mm-hmm.
God. One reason was to become rich, gold, and then glory to leave your legacy.
Yep.
To make sure that people remember that you are the powerful country. So that was my best day in education. I had many more. I had that was my best day because for the whole year.
Yes, sir.
That was just to get them to come back and then just talk. But we taught that in October.
Mm-hmm.
They still remembered it in May.
That's awesome.
So
And
when
like with education though, man, that's what we want, right? You want to be able to transfer knowledge from you to them and have them truly understand what that stuff means. I was just talking to a teacher the other day. It's like um true education is like uh riding a bike, right? If I teach you how to ride a bike, if I taught you this at age 5 and you learned how to ride that bike, and then you stop riding the bike for the next 10 years, 15 years later, can you still get on that bike and ride it? Yes, because you've actually learned how to ride that bike. So I guarantee you, 10 years from now, if somebody went up to your students and was like, why did they come over here? They're going to be able to have an educated conversation about God, gold, and glory because of how you taught them and how they were able to retain that information, not only retain it, but analyze it. Because education isn't a matter of just regurgitating something you heard, but being able to analyze it and truly understand what that stuff means, because that's where real education takes place, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, that's your worst day and your best day, and like you said, there are a lot of good days that you can talk about, and that's why we love this profession so much, because even though there are bad times, we also have some wonderful times. People, us as educators, we get to influence and, like you say, man, leave a legacy with those kids, which transitions into the next part of the podcast. The part of the podcast, which is the namesake of the podcast, the part that is your favorite teacher's favorite teacher. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'll have you talk to the audience about um, your favorite teachers, any teacher that has influenced you as you were coming up, somebody in the profession that maybe you looked up to, or has made a lasting impact on your life. So I turn the mic over to you to talk to the audience about that.
That's a huge one.
Okay.
That's a huge one. And I'm going to go ahead and see. And I hope she watching. I don't know if she's still in Texas or she's still doing it. Miss Beaverman.
Beaverman. Okay.
And I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but that was my 8th grade science teacher. And she was not my favorite teacher coming up. She was not my favorite teacher. I'm going to give it to you. She was my least favorite teacher. Okay. But I'm going to tell you why she's my favorite teacher now. She taught me accountability. She did it in her own way. She did it how, now I'm looking back, she did it the right way. I thought she was just tripping on me. She was being mean and, you know, I was like, oh, Miss Beverly. I remember we were dissecting a frog. Mm-hmm. This was 06. This January of 06. I was, because I was failing.
Yes, sir.
I was failing, 69. My head was laying down. And I had to pass, I think the report card. Yeah, the report card. And we had to dissect the fraud. We got a grade from that. Then we took a test. Ms. Beamer said, I won't fail you. You're not going to pass. You're gonna do your work. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I got a 69. You can round it up to a 70. Nah. See, when the kids don't understand, at 69 is 69.4, she don't have to round it up.
No, she don't.
69.5, it naturally rounds it up. And she stuck to her guns. She stuck to her guns, and she made me work. She made me be accountable. She made me she made me appreciate the ugliness. You know, to a 14-year-old, that's ugly. That's just, you just being mean. Let me make it. But she made me appreciate, not the ugliness from her, but the ugliness from me, the one that don't want to work. Yes, but hey, if I don't do it, I'm gonna fail. So I appreciate the ugliness because it also made me work harder. Gave me, God, I gotta appreciate, but you know what? I'm going to be all right. Mm-hmm. And I passed. I did good on the dissecting the fraud. Then I took the test. I don't know what I made on the test, but it brought my grade up to a 73. Can't remember that. I just remember a 73.
Yeah.
Well, now at Hambrick, how they got it, the old Hambrick, the bus route was on the side of the school. The car route was on the front of the school. Okay. I'm a walker. Miss Beaverman is coming from the bus route. And she said, Derrick, I'm proud of her. She gave me a hug. Oh. And I'm like, thank you. You know, I appreciate it. I probably wouldn't have told Miss Beaverman she was my favorite teacher. But now as an educator, that's every day. I tell the kids this every day at Hambrick. I had a teacher named Miss Beaverman who told me she was gonna fail me. See, I slept in all the other classes. Miss Dickerson was hard on me too. You know, I had the right. I had the right. But they was all hard. Coach Johnson, they was all hard on me. But yeah, far as the one that made me sweat, okay, the one that made me accept accountability, Miss Beaverman, my favorite teacher. That's where my accountability come from. I told the kids, all the teachers that I like, I don't even remember.
Wow.
It's the ones that I didn't like.
Yeah.
That made me realize that they are my favorite teachers.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, that's crazy to me because all the ones that I like, I can't remember them. And I'm not saying they didn't make an impact on my life or they didn't make an impact on my education. They didn't make me sweat.
Right. The thing is like, it's funny when I do this part of the podcast and I ask teachers about their favorite teacher, they normally identify a teacher that was hard on them. Not the teachers that were their favorite, not the teachers that were always nice to them, but it's the ones that held them accountable for their actions. And I guess like as an adult, you understand the importance of accountability, and you look back in those adults that held you accountable for your actions. Like, growing up as a kid, you look at your mom and your dad and you're like, oh, why you always doing this? Why you always doing that? But as you look back as an adult, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for making me accountable, because when I get into the world, this is how the world is going to treat me. And that's a huge thing. Those teachers who do that hold us accountable, that make us better adults, man, that's a lot.
I got one more teacher shout out, Mr.
Yeah, go
Aguilar.
ahead. Okay, Mr.
And I'm gonna tell you, he hold it up. So I got two. I got two.
You got it.
I got two. It was Ms. Beaverman, love you to death, Ms. Beaverman. Mr. Aguilar, my guy. He's still doing it. Mr. Aguilar, and I don't know the story. I remember how, because I know that I needed to replace a grade. I was getting recruited by Northwestern State. I was getting recruited by Kent State, Louisiana Tech. All these schools called in on me by my recruitment. But if his grade now, if he was one of the teachers that I say was my favorite, or the one that's like would have changed the grade, but like, hey, I need this grade. No, but he gonna make. So what he did was he made me retake the final, because I made a 37 on it, and it brought me my grade down to a 70. I needed a 73. 73, and I would have been good. I think I would have been able to, with my ACT score, it would have been all right. It would have been enough for me just to slide in to go to Northwestern State. But that was not written in God's story for me. But he said, okay, you want to change your grade? And this was geometry. I'm a senior now. So he let me retake it. And I still, it brought me up to a 71. So I was like, you know what? I appreciate you. Mr. Aguilar, and he was my mentor as well when I was at Mac. So he made me work for it. He was not giving you nothing. And I couldn't stand him while I was there. Even though he was my mentor, the man I can respect. I like going to talk to Mr. Aguilar, but the teacher, I'm like, oh, bro, come on. Why are you doing me like this? Can I at least, I'm the star. Now I can speak on it. Usually I be unhumble, but I was the star at Mac.
Right.
I was the star. Right. I ain't go, because I've been trying to be nice. Brothers. If you knew who I was, if you watch this podcast, you know McWilliams, you know me. I was the man at Mac.
Right.
I was the man. I could have been more of the man if I got out of here. So I'm like, man, come on, Mr. Aguilar. I got these schools calling. Let me make it. And he did not let me live. He smiled. See, that it's a song. They smiling in your face the whole time.
All the time they want to take
your place. But he's smiling in your face and letting you know, I just want the best for you.
Wow.
And he's smiling in my face. At the same time, he letting you know, if you're not handling your business, when you come back to me, I'm gonna smile in your face like you smile in my face. So I gotta say it with the kids, you want to laugh, but you don't want to do your work. When you come to me, I want to be smiling in your face, just like you were smiling in my face. And it's not going to be so funny on your end. Right. And you're not going to realize why I'm smiling until you get to my age. And you're going to be like, Mr. McWilliams, that was cold. But it was something that you needed.
Exactly.
You needed that rejection to be able to appreciate the story later.
Yes, sir.
Because if it was given, if I was given everything that I wanted, Mrs. Beerman, everything I would have touched would have been taken.
Yes, sir.
Everything, because it didn't mean nothing. It just it's a poem. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting. If you don't let your enthusiasm get the best of you, and you just rush, like I rushed. Give you one. I rushed to get my truck. 2 months later, the truck broke down. When my people was telling me, just be calm, be patient. The perfect truck will come for you. So if students, and I'm talking about for the teachers, I'm students that I mentor with for the teachers, that be patient.
Yes, sir.
Don't rush to get into administration when you're not ready. Don't rush to get into these IS positions when you're not. And I'm not saying you're not ready.
Yes, sir.
I'm just saying if you too eager, you too anxious, because your enthusiasm, boom. And that's why my favorite teachers are the teachers that I respected but did not like.
Yes.
If I respect you and love you, I don't know if I love you as a teacher, you probably when I slept in the classroom, slept in that classroom. You didn't say nothing to me, and when I woke up, and I know that's bad, but I look at it, I laugh. I'm like, man, I can't be getting all these kids for doing. You know what, I can, because that was me sleeping. But when I slept, I was doing wrong.
Right.
But I also knew that I had to make up for some stuff. If it's a test, I had to study.
Yes.
Like in Spanish, my Spanish teacher too, he made me work for it. Yeah, the sleep. Oh, you want to sleep? Okay. I'm making 70s on the test when I know I can make 100. I mean, not 100, but an 80.
Yeah.
It's just that's why I teach from accountability point of view. You don't have to love me, you don't gotta like.
Right.
But in 2 years, you come holler at me. You're gonna be like, Mr. McWilliams, I respect you. Mm-hmm. I tell them all the time, you're not gonna respect. You don't like me right now. Yep. Your job is to not like me. My job is to make sure you don't like me. Mm-hmm. And even if you love me, I'm gonna make sure that your lesson will come when you leave my classroom.
Exactly. And
so
that right there is a message for all teachers, man. It's and that's not to say that your kids aren't going to like you, because you can do all of the things that Mr. McWilliams does, all of the teachers that he talked about did, and the kids will still like you. He's talking about those few kids who, and we all have them. Those kids that really they're not as enthusiastic about education as the 95% of kids that are. Those kids who, and I say this from a place of being that kid, like they have other stuff on their plate outside of school, where school is just a place that you go to escape what's going on in your everyday life. So those kids are they're not unreachable. They are reachable, but at the same time, you as the adult have to understand that I'm going to have to push this kid, because if I don't, then nobody will. And like Mr. McWilliams said, anything that's given to you is not appreciated. Everything you work for is worth gold. You know what I'm saying? So the your teachers that you've identified, man, and what you've told us about those teachers, man, that's the same exact thing that I'm hearing from the other teachers. It's that accountability piece to help shape and mold you into the person that you are today. That's like amazing. And with that, man, we're on the next portion of the podcast, the part that I like to call a word or a phrase. And we spoke before this podcast, and you said that you felt passionate about mentorship, which it doesn't surprise me, man. That's a huge word, especially in education. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to turn this over to you to talk about mentorship, and tell us your thoughts and your feelings about that.
So mentorship is huge to me, and it's huge in what we do in education, because you can possibly change a young man's life, a young lady's life. When we was at Hawken, we had the Lady of Distinction, we had Man of Valor, we had Bowtie Club. Mm-hmm. And so mentorship is saving a young man's life, teaching them the values of teaching them the values of life, mm-hmm. teaching them the one simple value of what's the value of respect. Well, what's the value of being cool, and what's the value of having a level head. Mm. All those things, those three things I just said, the value of respect. If people respect you, they would trust you. If people think you are cool, you can walk in circles that other people can. And if you can be level-headed, if you can have a level head, you can have your own understanding of life, but also respect other people's thoughts and process. You don't have to assemble to them. You don't have to cater to them, but you just got to respect their thoughts. So mentoring young men to have those kind of process, those kind of thought process, like integrity. You know, do you have integrity if I turn my head this way to do the right thing when I'm not watching? And do you have aim? Do you wake up with a goal in mind? Because sometimes kids, if you don't teach them or mentor them, they don't wake up with a goal. Their goal is just to get to point A to point B. It's no real substance. But if you can teach them how to get an aim. So these are all the principles that I use for Man of Valor.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you got to have an aim. You got to have a goal. You got to have something that you're looking to move forward to. And how are you going to service people? How are you going to? It's nothing for me to have the whole world and can't be able to offer you nothing. So if I can be how can I help my fellow students? So mentoring them, how can they help their fellow classmates, their fellow students, their fellow teachers? Service is for all mankind.
Yes, sir.
And something that they need, and they also teach them loyalty. Teaching them how to be loyal to what they think about what they be loyal to their thoughts, their vision, and their goals.
Yes, sir.
Because if they loyal to their goals, their vision gonna align. If they loyal to if they loyal to their goals, their vision would align. If they loyal to their classmates, they're not gonna put them in a spot that's gonna get them in trouble. If they loyal to one another, the group goal will be high. If we want to have one of the things that we try to do in Man of Valor last year at Forest Brook was to get a step show going, but that never happened because our loyalty was not everybody. The kids wanted us to do it. No, this is your group. You guys should be loyal. You guys have a plan. Now we did stick to one goal that we had was mentorship from my fraternity. Okay. We had a couple of my fraternity brothers come talk to the kids about their career endeavors, what it took for them to get there. So that was one of the goals. And just my mentorship to me is trying to save a young person's life and not even save it, but just build it and make it better and be that bridge builder to that fair-haired youth that one day will have to cross that bridge. He have to come from where his mindset is to a new mindset. But he has to cross that bridge, and sometimes it's hard. And the kids, they need that lift. Hey, I got you. I'm gonna pick you up. I'm gonna build you up. So mentoring is huge in education. I did it with the AEC program. I used to go talk to the kids. We did bow ties and all that, and mentorship. One time, you saved my life. I like that was my first time being that student, and that's what she said.
That's awesome.
So that's why mentorship is huge in education.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, and in life, if I could add on to that, man, and it's when I study, becoming successful, one of the key things that individuals who become millionaires, billionaires, one of the key things that they point out about that is having a mentor. A lot of the people that I respect, a lot of people that I look towards or look to, like every last one of them have mentors to not only educate them and show them the way, but also to hold them accountable for what they do. And with your program, you're doing that with the students as well. you're teaching them and giving them guidance on the right direction to go. And on top of that, you're holding them accountable for what they say they're going to do. Like when you said with the step show, like they say they want to do it, but at the same time, if you don't do it, nobody's going to step in and do it for you. So mentoring is huge, not only in the education realm, but in life, period, man. So thank you for sharing that with the audience. And now we're going to go into the final portion of the podcast. We're going to end the podcast with your final words and you letting the audience know where they can find you. Like I turn the podcast over to the guests and let them have those final words. Let the audience know where they can be found, so we can close out with the words of our guests. So I'm gonna turn it over. Let you take control of the end of the podcast, and don't forget to let the audience know where they can find you as well.
Yes, sir. Leave your legacy. Leave your legacy. To all my future educators, I hope, and my fellow educators, I hope that my story, I have shined a light. That I have motivated somebody just to keep going. And Stubblefield said something. It might not happen to you every day. It might not happen to you at your school, but it's somebody that's getting disrespected every day, and that keeps coming back around. I want you to find that educator and shine some light to him. Man. Hug her or hug him. Make sure he come back to work tomorrow. That he keeps going. He don't quit. Because and don't quit. Don't give up. Wherever you do, eyes front, head high to the finish. See it through. Leave your legacy. Leave your legacy. I am appreciative to have this opportunity to share and to share what I have been through in my 8 years in this game. The people that I have met. Thank you to every person that has had a hand in my upbringing and education and upbringing in my teaching career. And this is great. Big Country Q11 is where you can find me on my Twitter handle. Big Country Q11. I had 2 professionals pages. They didn't. I have to rebuild. But you can find me at Big Country Q11. You can also find me on TikTok, Mr. Mac History Class. I got a song, 555 on me, 10 Bill of Rights. What a G. Nah, I know my rights. Yeah. I'm gonna publish that soon. I'm gonna publish it soon on iTunes. And I'm done. Leaving your legacy.
All right, leaving the legacy. Thank you, Mr. McWilliams. And that brings us to the end of the podcast. This is me signing out. Peace. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Your Favorite Teacher's Favorite Teacher podcast. If you have a story you'd like to share, please contact me at wdstubblefield@wdsi.us. Again, that is wdstubblefield@wdsi.us. And you could be our next inspirational story of how educators impact our lives. I'm your host, Mr. Stubblefield, and I want you to remember, no profession is possible without your favorite teacher.